The glimpse at magic number 70 blurs by the northern tip of Tennessee and into the echo chamber of horsepower. We're live tonight from the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway. We welcome you to the 5th race in the 2022 eNASCAR Road to Pro qualifying iRacing series as we bring you all the coverage right here on Podium Esports, obviously presented by Elite Performance Industries. Looking forward to a 175-lap duel at the last Great Coliseum, where alongside Rachel Whiteford of the broadcast booth, my name is Kenneth Bunna. We'll have Simi Award winner Ryan Bauer on the buttons all night long using cameras provided by Dougie Beard and Nicholas Weatherby on social media as well. Rachel, this is the second of 3 straight races to lead us into a short track stint that'll bring us to the final 2 races of round 1. And if the message isn't already clear, we'll reiterate it once again. You've got to hit your marks because time is running out. And if you're not in the top 70, you may be in deep trouble.
Absolutely can be in serious trouble here, of course. And this is going to be one of the tricky rounds, I think, for these guys. A bit of an outlier like Daytona. This could have multiple endings, and no one can really predict how that will go. Your race can change dramatically at Bristol. And wow, we have Dover and Kansas coming up. It's going to be a wild conclusion to this season.
It definitely is. And of course, Bristol, known as the last Great Coliseum, the world's fastest half mile, known for a lot of its chaos on both the asphalt side and the dirt. Although tonight we are only racing on the old reliable, the best version of Bristol Motor Speedway, the asphalt one that opened all the way back in 1961. It's a 0.533 mile track, 0.858 kilometers, of course, in Bristol, Tennessee, with 26 to 30 degrees of banking in turns 1 through 4 and 6 to 10 degrees on the straights. We're going to be talking about the dynamic of the banking all evening long when we see a couple of drivers head up for the top lane, head for the bottom, or go straight for the middle to get momentum on the straightaways. It's a 175 lap race, the longest race distance so far, obviously, because this is a short track. We'll go just under 95 miles, 93.3, 150.2 kilometers will go with 3 green, white checkered attempts, no fast repairs, and of course, in this Road to Pro qualifying iRacing series, you only get open setups. You do not have a fixed setup series whatsoever. It's the magic of the eNASCAR ladder here, starting with this series as we're going to get ready to go in just a little bit. Rachel, of course, this track known for a lot of calamity, this track known for a lot of wrecks, and last season in Top Split, it was round 2, but we ended this race under green, white checkered. So is it fair to say there's a clear expectation for what we're about to see tonight?
Well, if last season's run to Bristol's anything to go by, it could be a lot of bent metal. We'll have to pay attention to see what happens here, but this could have some serious ramifications for the season. We counted over 10 cautions in the last run here at Bristol. Can they go cleaner? I've seen green flag races here. I remember back in the old days when we had the Road to Pro series, and Top Split racing here was, you occasionally had a green run. It was weird. It would actually go green for the race. It was magical. Will that happen tonight in the trucks? I don't know. I don't think so. But stranger things have happened.
But we'll just have to see. Bristol getting ready to bring in the best 35 here in Top Split of the Road to Pro qualifying iRacing series. We'll take a short break and give you our presenting sponsor of tonight's coverage, EPI, Elite Performance Industries. But don't go anywhere. We've got the grid and the green flag on the other side. Welcome back to coverage of the 5th race in the 2022 eNASCAR Road to Pro qualifying iRacing series, live on Podium Esports, presented by Elite Performance Industries. We're just a couple of moments away from the green flag, so why don't we step down trackside and give you your starting grid. See exactly where every driver and your favorite driver will be lining up here tonight from the last Great Coliseum. Jonathan Delaney joins top split and goes pole with a 14.519. He'll be the first driver to see the green flag tonight, alongside the number 2 of Joe Blewett to his outside. Casey Tucker will start in the 23 in P3 with a 14.532, and Michael Cozy Jr. looking to capitalize on what's been a rather rocky start to the season. He starts outside in P4. Matt Danson in the 21 will line up the top 5 alongside Boyd Hogan in the 11 and P6. Santiago Tires won the race at Las Vegas earlier in the campaign. He'll try to get his first short track win tonight. He starts 7th. Kyle Myers alongside him in P8. Final drivers in the top 10 include Blaze Crawford in P9 and the number 1 of Parker White.
Number 6 is Drew Fernandez in the 10 car, with Jake Nichols in the 20, and on row number 7 we have Anthony Burrows in the 8 and Tucker Minter in the 3 machine. Row number 8 is going to be Jordi Lopez in the 6th and Seth Merchant in that 5 car. Behind them, row number 9, it's Devin Curl in the 33 with Daniel Roper in the 9. Row number 10 will be Will Cooley and Andrew Navard in the 13, wrapping it up top 20.
And of course, Tucker Minter starting P14. He's looking to keep his stride very high after his win at Richmond a couple of weeks back. Christopher Pfeffer starts in P21. Kenny Brady will be on his outside to capitalize row number 11, followed by Daniel Burafoco in the number 22. In 23rd, Tyler Gary will follow suit on his outside in 24th. Justin Knobloch and Trevor Edwards will be the 2 drivers pairing up in row number 13, before you find Larry Pace and Justin Norwood, the 16 and the 29, back to P28. Tyler Severa in the 7 will roll off on the grid from 29th. Him and all the drivers behind him did not take time in qualifying, Daniel Falkingham included, to roll off your top 30. Eugene Moskanov will start 31st, Brad Davies 32nd, Jesse Atchison and Will Klein will line up the final drivers here in this 35-car grid from the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway. So field in the hands of Jonathan Delaney. They'll roll off to the racetrack. We'll have a couple of pace laps before we get things started. And of course, Rachel, 3 straight short tracks. I think one of the biggest points about this round 1 schedule was that we had a lot of intermediates, of course, packed in with Daytona that you were in the broadcast for as well. Chaotic racing there, but now we stepped into Richmond 2 weeks ago. We capitalized that race, finished off, and now we are at Bristol. Then we go to Dover. What's going to be the most important thing about not only making sure you hit your marks tonight, but making sure you also hit your marks when we follow into the last race, which is also a short track.
Keeping that car clean, keeping your race clean, and keeping your wheels on the track. Because if you can short track race, you can go far. And this is definitely the season where it shows who really can wheel that car.
It's going to be a lot. We're probably going to see a lot of the field wrestle their way through the corners. Of course, this is a daytime race in sim. Last time we raced at Bristol in top split, it was all the way in the nightfall underneath the lights. So obviously a lack of grip going to be prevalent here as the track temp will soar very high. And we'll see the pace car make its way down to pit road, where Jonathan Delaney and Joel Blewett will be the first 2 drivers to the green. We're racing in round number 5 of the 2022 eNASCAR Road to Pro qualifying iRacing series from Bristol.
Big run through 3 and 4 here, the first time of the race, and it's still green so far, which is pretty huge right now to be in that lap number 1. Field really pushing it here, single filing out the front. Of course, important to get this rhythm going here early, get out of that 2 wide, get your good line through the corner, and start pushing this thing.
Right now, most of the field single file. You're right on board with Boyd Hogan, currently sitting in the top 5. He's clear of all the drama so far as most of the field gets away from their opening lap jitters. The first drivers side by side. The battle you're watching on screen just behind this 26 truck, the 1 of Parker White, the 15 of Santiago Tires, still going door to door. But now Jake Nichols is going to pose his nose into the fight, and he'll look to the outside of the 15 and will make that pass complete. A charging move up there. And that's something we're going to be talking about over the course of the evening as the first caution will wave out. We've got 2 trucks involved. Tyler Gary in the 19 sideways facing the outside wall.
Then goes to my bike 4. We'll try and get a replay of what happened here, show you guys what took place. But we'll see here now. Okay, we're looking on board from above, and these guys come through the corner, cross the line. I'm not quite sure where this begins, but it's going to be the top side of it. Oh, Luke got loose. Yeah, he just got loose there.
Just got all out of shape, and I think also got that hit from Justin Knobloch, but it started up the road. It looked like Seth the Merchant might have gotten hit by Daniel Roper, sent him sideways, and while those guys, Tyler Gary included, were just trying to check up for it, and just make sure they can stay out of harm's way. They end up involved in the caution as Knobloch gave the hit to Gary and also involved a couple of more trucks. I believe Daniel Falkingham might have also gotten a piece of that. He's got some heavy left to rear damage. There's another look at it. The half spin by Seth the Merchant was able to keep it straight, but just checked everybody up. It's a big domino effect. And then all of a sudden, Tyler Gary in trouble, has some damage on the front nose of his Chevrolet Silverado. So at this point, already our first caution, and it didn't take us long whatsoever. And obviously, if you follow in on the trend from last season, it took us about a lap and a half, maybe, Rachel, to get our first caution. I think we've gotten a little bit farther, only 6 laps in out of the 175. So I think we can clear that race by just a little bit. But again, cautions remain supreme here at Bristol. The close quarters racing is gonna remain prevalent here, gonna result in a lot of contact, and that's what you're gonna see, and that's exactly what happened there.
Yeah, I'm surprised it went so long, actually. This is one of those things that can happen. The field was looking pretty, should we say, flexible from about the mid-pack backwards, and there's not a ton of racing room. You really want to try and find yourself in a good spot here, but we're already seeing some takers to pit road, whether that's guys getting repairs or someone going for a very interesting early call, but 6 laps is not a lot of time here, so really probably a best idea to stay out of the track. And of course, we're keeping stated on the session, so look up on top of that track. That is full of marbles. It could be really troublesome to get out there.
And that's also going to make things really hard to kind of clear up that outside lane. Usually, especially in the nighttime, you don't see a lot of those marbles on the very top of the 30 degrees of banking. So usually it gives the opportunity for many drivers in the field to go all the way up there, grab the momentum. But as of the opening laps, it doesn't look like the majority of them have tried to go up there. A lot of them have been content rolling down low and rolling the middle in some extreme cases to get the move out of the corners. Right now, though, everybody wants to be bottom feederish at this point in the early goings. Also, to correct myself, Tyler Gary is in a Toyota Tundra TRD Bro, not a Chevrolet Silverado. I think I got that confused with Falkingham, who is in a Chevy bow tie tonight. So both of them, of course, involved in that incident, and both of them looking to get some damage repair, and they'll be back on their way. And don't believe it's too much damage to take them out of this race full stop. So it's going to be good to see them back on the track, and hopefully they can try and pick up from exactly what happened there on that first yellow. So lights are out on the iRacing official pace car. We'll go green at, looks like, lap number 10 of 175. Jonathan Delaney, Joel Blewett, they have not traded places whatsoever since the drop of the green. Delaney, of course, the pole sitter. Blewett outside row number 1, and they'll be all doubled up ready for this restart. Also to note, just before we get to green flag racing, track temp is in the triple digits, 107 degrees Fahrenheit. So keep that in mind if you do not want to light up the rear tires, because that could be a thing we'll see later on once we get a long run. Green flag back in the air. Delaney to a quick jump back to turn 1. Blewett immediately shutting the door on the 23 of Casey Tucker, who's side by side with Michael Cozy Jr. And Cozy gets a huge run in the first couple of corners. He may get to the outside of the tube truck.
And Cozy's looking, well, Tucker actually looking pretty strong there on the bottom side here as 21 Danson looking like he's going to try and hold his position. He's going to make, no, not quite able to clear the 11 there of Hogan. Hogan's still holding strong on that bottom side. 17 of Cozy Jr. They're looking at Delaney. He's got that inside line. It could be good, but the 27's holding him tight here. And what this is doing is two wide racing. Is holding everyone behind them up so much and bottling this field. This could have big consequences.
You do not want to be a part of the stack-up, especially in the direct hornet's nest of the field. But what a ride of the wave it was for the 17 of Michael Cozy Jr. Struck to the outside of Joel Blewett, got around Casey Tucker, and is now door-to-door with your race leader, Jonathan Delaney. He knows ahead before the second caution of the evening gets thrown. Looks like Devin Curl in the 33 is involved, and it appears to be a lonesome incident. It was coming out turn 2 on the racetrack. I think may have made some contact slightly with the truck to the outside, or maybe just lost it all by his lonesome. There's the look. They come to the start-finish line, go through 1 and 2, and the problem arises on the back straight. Makes slight contact, truck gets out of shape, and bam, into the inside wall he goes and comes to a complete halt just on the apron.
Yeah, it was almost like he had to peel himself away from that truck, but it just came off him too far. That was a 5 truck there we had of Seth the Merchant. So the Merchant, no issue for him, no contact really, but unfortunately 33 tried to get away from him and it just cost him.
So Devin Curl, the single truck involved in our second caution, and Michael Cozy Jr. noses ahead, so therefore he will be our first lead change here tonight from the Bristol Motor Speedway as Delaney will restart in P2. Tonight's race is proudly presented by Elite Performance Industries, your home for iRacing setups, apparel, and driver development. Contact the EPI social media pages to get in touch and learn from guys like eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series champion Michael Conti. For more information, visit ElitePerformanceIndustries.com. EPI, your home for all things iRacing. All right, so second caution, not many takers on pit road. It looks to be maybe a couple who are looking to get some damage. A pair of Tyler Gary involved in that group. Justin Knobloch also there, Daniel Falkingham, Eugene Mozganov. I think that's just about it. Maybe Devin Curl took a trip on there as well. And one thing to note here, Rachel, about this Bristol Motor Speedway and the config we're running here tonight is that it is single pit stops. So it is just one lane from the entrance of pit road all the way to the exit. You have to go all the way around the track to end up coming back onto the racing surface, apart from what is usually shown in the real NASCAR series where they have dual pit roads and you can enter in one side and enter through the other. So that's going to be very big when it comes down to track position, because maybe if we get a green flag call, we get some strategy here and there over the next maybe 100 laps or so, we could see that long pit road entry and long pit road exit play a big factor into who comes out first.
Sort of racing, and that pit road will be busy. And it's the big thing here, it's such a slow pit road. 35 miles an hour, it might feel fast on the road, but it's incredibly slow for these trucks, and it really does get congested down there.
And we've seen before in Bristol history when you have the whole field in it, it could get tight very, very quickly. Of course, these short tracks, very well known for their lack of space, and when there's problems on the track, or even when you have a good amount of trucks coming on pit road, there could arise some problems. Contact can be made, and then of course you can see cautions wave from here on through. We're looking through the field, and so far it appears the biggest mover up to this point may indeed be the 7 of Tyler Severo, who's moved up to 21st after starting in 29th. That's a total of +8 on the racetrack. And the biggest mover in the top 10, I believe, is just only Parker White, who started in P10. He's now up +4 since the drop of the green. He is now in P6. So we'll get the green flag here in just a couple of moments. It's the 17 of Michael Cozy Jr., who made a large charge to the front. We'll see if he can hold on to it. Jonathan Delaney with a very strong truck to keep him at bay. And the 17, though, will be the first one to discretion. Pace car is down, and we're back racing from Bristol.
Good launch off the line there for him as he gets his around the truck. That's 33 still come off pit road. Down the inside, stays low though. Field charges through, and it's a good clean up ahead. But behind him, 27 and the 6, they're going to be pushing it as well.
27 immediately tucking a single file. He'll follow Joel Blewett, who's also behind Parker White, is aiming to be the third truck in it, but he's got a truck to his inside. That's the 23 of Casey Tucker, who is yet to let go. Now Parker White will officially clear for a moment before Tucker sends it back down to the inside, and this is also reeling in Matt Danson in the 21, who may end up with his name into the ring very, very soon. And now it leaves the only single file battle in the top 10 between Therese and Boyd Hogan, although those settle out very quickly. And it looks like, for the moment, Rachel, everybody wants to stay down low. Nobody wants to venture out high, at least for now. It seems as though the bottom tuck to the apron is the place to be in this hot track temp.
Yeah, it really can be. And I think that will be a major factor for is what line they're going to be able to get in this thing and how that will change over a race. Because there's potential for it to go very sideways, but there's some really powerful guys up here who I think could be a real factor. And keeping my eye on Lopez Jr., he can definitely be an interesting character when it comes to racing. Delaney's going to be strong. Therese, Tucker, Danson, Hogan, of course. But I think the Merchant could be an outsider. He's moving up slowly, but he's still coming.
Well, slow progress is indeed progress, and as you ride on board with Jody Lopez, one of the many Logitech G Altus esports drivers in this field, probably no doubt that the Merchant could make his way up to the field sooner than later. And Logitech G Altus Esports had a really good time at Richmond, the first short track race of round 1 just 2 weeks ago, because Tucker Minter was able to dominate the race, and even when it looked like he had his back against the wall, was able to surge on his own tire strategy, get to the lead once again, and just dominated all the way to the finish, found his composure and kept it calm even when things looked a little bit bleak. And Tucker Minter got Logitech G Altus Esports their 3rd win of the season. And so far, they've been the force to be reckoned with, although surprisingly enough, at least for the moment, Rachel, not many of them are clustered in together as the caution flag will wave once again. And this time, it looks to be Christopher Pfeffer in the 18.
Yeah, it does. It's been a busy one up there for those guys. There's Pfeffer involved in the situation we had, and it was up against the top wall. We'll get to see this, what happened here, but he got loose on his own, and he got up to the side, and he got turned around, and oh, everyone missed him. That was a miracle.
It's an illustrious job for everyone to get around, and it looks like Pfeffer just lost it on his lonesome, and that gets really close when he's chasing it down the banking. Everybody on the bottom is praying, please, 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 don't get into me, and luckily, Pfeffer does not get anyone else collected, and he doesn't get any more damage after the fact of the spin. So the good thing for Pfeffer is he's going to be able to trot on with a significantly clean race truck apart from some slight contact. Although the only real negative here is going to be track position. He's lost a ton of it, and Pfeffer now falls to 32nd on the running order. So once again, under caution here tonight from the Bristol Motor Speedway. And while we're under yellow, we'll remind you that our coverage here on Podium Esports is brought to you by Battle Beaver. Battle Beaver has everything you need for your next professionally modded custom controller. With options for PlayStation, Xbox, GameCube, and more, Battle Beaver has everything you need to elevate your gaming potential. Head to BattleBeaverCustoms.com to customize your controller, and you can use the code Daytona for 10% off.
You know, Kenneth, when you said that, I thought this was going to be like Robot Wars. I thought this was going to be battling beavers. Custom controls are amazing, and I'm definitely going to go check those guys out. They sound fantastic, but part of me was hoping for fighting rodents.
You know what? I think we've got a lot of beavers here that are willing to fight in this field. I mean, they've been kind of aggressive for the most part. We haven't seen too much shuffling, but Bristol is known for some boiling tempers in real life and in the sim. It's a part of the short track racing, as I could quote Denny Hamlin. I don't think I'm going to say the impression because it would be really bad, and I think the people watching at home would just scoff at me and say, okay, Kenneth, what are you even saying? But it could get tough here. We could get some battling beavers here and then, although we haven't seen any right now, but doesn't mean things cannot go crazy. And we've got a packed sim crowd here at Bristol, so why not have a little bit of chaos to go with it? So right now, Michael Cozy Jr. in the race lead. It's been a good jump for him. And Rachel, I mean, if you look at the entire season for Michael Cozy Jr. alongside his Logitech Gialtis Esports teammates, it hasn't been the best. There's been a lot of races where he's looked promising. He looked like he had a lot of speed, but just things could not come together at the right moment near the end. Was not able to get the results that he was hoping for. But it looks like this second half of round one is turning around in his favor, and Bristol seems to be no different.
Yeah, it could be. This could really be his chance. He's got to maintain that consistency and hold on here because it could still go very sideways. He's in a fantastic spot for it, but he's got to balance this thing out and play for the long game.
All right, so we'll double them up here. Michael Cozy Jr., of course, your race leader, Jonathan Delaney, has yet to relinquish second place, so he's maintained there. He has yet to fight that 17 for the lead after losing it just a couple of laps back. Joel Blewett and Parker White are the two Toyota Tundras to line up row number 2, and then you'll find a Toyota and a Ford in row number 3. Santiago Tires has worked his way up to 5th, and Casey Tucker has fallen just slightly to P6 on the racetrack. He'll be outside on this restart. So pace car back to the entrance of pit road, and under green flag racing will go once again on lap 33 of 175. It's another solid jump for the race leader. It looked like Jonathan Delaney may have struggled just a tad, and Joel Blewett will work to the inside for second.
Yeah, he'll really push this one forwards and in a good spot to do just that. Just below them. Not doing so great for Blewett. You could have said he blew it. But I hate myself for that one. But Delaney really strong up there towards the front, as is the one of White. Parker White coming around the outside. Gonna be able to slot down here in line and hold that spot.
And Parker White very quick on the opening jump of this race. He spent many of these events in this season as the #1 truck. Of course, the Road to Pro qualifying iRacing series is assessed by iRating, so they do give a certain driver a certain number based on their iRating within the field, and the strength of the field, as we say, is usually throughout the season it's been around 7,300 stabilized. It's mostly jumped from here and there, but it's been around the same, and every single time most of the races, we've seen Parker White as that #1 truck. He's had the highest I rating in this field at a total of 8,306. And right now, he is putting his short track knowledge to good use. He's going to work to the outside of Michael Cozy Jr. for the race lead.
Yeah, puts it in a fantastic spot there, but it's going to be tricky to go on the outside. He might get a good run on the straights, but he might struggle a little bit in the corner, as you'll see Cozy just come up along the inside. But this could be a 3-lap pass for that Toyota up top there as he gets it done across the line. A little bit quicker than I thought, but putting it into a good place. He really wanted to make sure he was efficient here and got that into a good spot early and got himself single file, because otherwise the rest of them could just catch up behind. You do not want that.
It's a textbook play by Parker White, who comes into this race 32nd in the Road to Pro qualifying point standing, still in the possibility of making that top 70 by the time we close off round 1, but just looking to gain some more points, gain some more positions down the order, as White will take his first lead and will try to hold on to it as long as he can. Take a look at the battle just inside the top 10. Here's a look on board with Drew Fernage in the 10. That is Kyle Myers in the 26, a very electrifying green and black Toyota Tundra TRD Pro that's trying to go to the bottom. And now, Rachel, I think the top has finally started to kick in. We're seeing many guys here in this top 10 looking up to the outside wall, not very close to it, but it's higher than it's ever been.
Yeah, people start to get a bit higher as this bottom line warms up, and it will warm up very fast, of course, especially with the amount of lap times or laps that we're putting in at this track. We're seeing Minter right now just down at the bottom. He's up to 8th right now from 14th where he started, behind that Carolina Reaper machine up ahead. He's going to be trying to push a little bit harder here, but just running in order to keep this thing balanced.
Field all single file, led by Parker White. Now they're going to spread out just a little bit. Of course, Fernage following in Santiago Tierez's track, who's also pioneering the top. And how about the 3 truck of Tucker Minter, who's also up there as well, as you ride on board with Daytona winner Seth the Merchant, was also able to just barely get there to the line alongside Jordi Lopez Jr. at Atlanta, but could not pick up his second win, although him and his team have definitely studded the field out. They've been the class of the team so far in this 2022 Top Split Series. And right now, many of them running within the top 15. There's 3 trucks in succession. Matt Danson 13th, Jordi Lopez 14th, Seth the Merchant racking up the top 15. There's a look at all 3 of them as they've got a good side up in the front as Kyle Myers almost loses the truck getting underneath Drew Fernage. But at this point, Rachel, to see more trucks now venture up top, is this going to be the way to go, especially if you haven't gained a lot of positions early? Is that where you want to be to gain the momentum and maybe turn your race around in this long run?
I think it can be. I think they're just going to be very careful with how and when they do this, because running up high can be good for you, but you also want to make sure you've got a good place to escape when things go wrong. Bristol's very self-cleaning. Things tend to go down when the crash happens, but you also want to make sure no one's jumping up to get out of the way of it as well in front of you. However, what this means is we're starting to see more people to the top side. Is we're going to see this spread out a bit more. If it spreads out, we have a good chance of green flag stops. That's when things will be truly chaotic.
There's a road on board there with Anthony Burrows currently riding within the top 20. Good look at where the Hornet's Nest lays. It really isn't a Hornet's Nest anymore. It's rather calm, although there was almost contact there. That was the 48 truck that almost tapped into the 22 of Daniel Burafoco, although they are able to keep it collected. Actually, that was the 18 of Christopher Pfeffer had the A, but it looked like a 4 from the top of the screen. And now Pfeffer will venture out top, will follow in on Anthony Burrows, and he'll try to get some of the draft, hold in the momentum to maybe get by this 22 truck. They're still almost 3 wide there. We'll look back up to the top of the field. Joel Blewett riding in 4th. And here's a look at the front, Rachel, where Parker White has not run away from Cozy Jr. They're setting identical lap times, and Cozy actually a little bit faster here on this run.
Yeah, he might be a bit faster right now, which is good. And not leading is actually not a terrible thing, because you do get a bit of a pull around here, and following another truck can really give you the opportunity just to rest and just follow their line, see where they're running, and not be the one that has to make the first jump, of course. So, yeah, he'd like to be out front, but second isn't terrible here, especially if you can just run in line and make a gap.
And what you can do here if you're Michael Cozy Jr. is analyze what Parker is doing right and wrong, and that's something you can take note at these short tracks, is because it's so small, because there's not a lot of time between straightaways and turns. You have ample opportunities to take note about what the driver's doing in front of you, if they're faster or slower than you, and where you are better, whether it's entrance to the corner, whether it's riding the apex, or whether it's slamming the throttle off on exit. And it looks like Cozy Jr. has taken enough notes, and now he's just trying to methodically get around Parker White for the lead. He had the nose to the inside off of one stretch on the racetrack, but just could not get the pass complete, and now still follows through behind. He's going to have to hit the reset button as Parker White continues to defend the bottom.
Yeah, he really does, and I actually really like being second on a track like this. Just short track racing in general, second's fantastic, because if I'm not quite as fast as I can be, and second place has caught me and passed me, I love being second, because I can then go to school. I can then learn what they're doing. Like you said, following their line, mirroring what they're doing. And it's an education, because then you have the speed they have, and then you can add to it and bring the move to them. So it can really be helpful just to try and copy what they're doing in that live environment. And you'll see whether they're starting to push. You can almost get an early warning if things are starting to get tight. But you'll see them doing exactly the same thing. And especially with traffic, it can be really good to make them punch the hole for you.
Traffic, that's a big point too, Rachel. We haven't really discussed that all too much, and here at Bristol Motor Speedway, traffic is big. If you watch the fall 2021 race in the NASCAR Cup Series, the fight between Chase Elliott and Kevin Harvick came down to the lap traffic, as Chase Elliott was one of the lap traffic cars, put Kevin Harvick in his dirty air, and then just let Kyle Larson reel that 4-car in, and that's what got Kyle Larson that win there at the Last Great Coliseum underneath the lights. The leaders have not officially caught up to lap traffic, really officially for the moment, but they are anticipating some form of lap traffic in the case of Justin Norwood in the 29. There's another truck also to Wayne about that's just a little bit ahead. I believe it's Devin Crow in the 33. It indeed is the 33 who went around for a spin to bring out one of our early cautions. So Parker White is going to have something else to deal with other than a charging Michael Cozy Jr., and that's going to make things very fun, because now, Rachel, I think when you get lap traffic into play, you start to play pick a line. You want to go bottom, you want to go middle, you want to go top to get around. And then what do the lap traffic do? Do they try to be predictable? Do they get out of the way, like this truck right here of Norwood is doing? Or are they just trying to be as aggressive as possible to keep themselves on the lead lap?
I think it's one of those times where you want to get out of the way, because if you don't, you'll get moved. But you've got to try and play this game. And this is something that's so prevalent in short track racing compared to the bigger tracks, and the short track guys are really good at. It's picking your way through that traffic and finding that opportunity, because if you can race traffic well, you will win short track races. If you can't race traffic, you will not win short track races, because you're going to have to deal with it. And it's the person who manages it best. It's always the person who has the best kind of endurance prototype class experience from the roadside. If you can race prototype through the GT traffic, you'll do well. I realize that's probably heresy mentioning that on a NASCAR broadcast, but it's relevant. When you're dealing with traffic, it's an art form in its own right.
No, it is. And, I've been very scared to run endurance races, because I don't want to be the slow car that gets in the way of the really fast prototype, the guys who could go out and win the race while I'm trotting around like 32nd trying to find out my lane. But it is very important here at these short tracks where you'll experience a lot of the lap traffic over the long run. So we keep an eye on what Parker White and the rest of the leaders do, if they try anything different, or if they have any problems arise anytime soon. A good mover through the field is a driver actually just in front of the 5 you're watching right now, Seth the Merchant, the 18, Christopher Pfeffer. Rachel, we saw him go for a spin. We saw him involved in an incident earlier tonight, and he's already back up to 14th. It's been an impressive jump through the field for this 18. He has not given up as of lap 69.
No, he hasn't, and he's pushed through. He did get really lucky in that incident, though, so he has that going for him, but it's going to be a pretty busy one for the moment, as Pfeffer, the 18, in a real knot of trucks. It is mid-pack. It's really fighting around 14th.
They are really scuffling at this point. There's a couple of Logitech Gialtis Esports trucks, Matt Danson being one of them, following through by his teammate, Jordi Lopez Jr., as Pfeffer tries to pioneer the bottom once again, this time with Andrew Navarro to his inside. We haven't talked too much about Andrew Navarro. He's been rather quick in the first stint of this series, as a caution will come out. We have a spinning truck in the middle of the track, and it's Daniel Roper in the 9 who goes sideways and comes to a halt. Also got some help. Tyler Severa gave him some extra contact, and after our longest green flag run of the race, Rachel, we're under the pace car's pace once more.
And this is a time when you want to pit. We're on lap 72 of 175. This is definitely pit stop time. So those two unfortunately had some pretty hefty contact. They'll be in trouble. But the rest of these guys, they're going, perfect time for a pit stop. 4 tires of fuel, give me them all.
And you said it's going to get chaotic when we have a busy pit road. I think Your answer is going to come up very shortly as you take a look at the more replays there. It was contact as Severa got into the rear end of Daniel Roper, sent him spinning up into the outside wall. And of course, that will bring out the yellow, bring everybody back to a mellow pace. Here comes the field. Parker White leading everybody down. And Rachel, I think I'm going to agree with your call here. I don't think anyone would be willing to stretch out a 2-tire call or a no-tire call. Everybody wants 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles to set them away, and some fuel, of course. They want to make it to the end of the race as well.
You know, the problem really comes when this happens at the end of the race. And that one truck stays out. You all know that one truck. It might even do it now. You know, you might even see that one guy now. Not necessarily this race, but everybody here has seen that one truck that stays out, or that one car off a restart, somewhere like Bristol, and it backs the entire field up. And it is absolute pandemonium. Thankfully, nearly everyone's coming down pit road here. If everybody is, they'd be saying not to, but I'm glad we haven't got any of those have-a-go Harrys trying that wonderful strategy. Although the top 2, never mind. I thought they'd stayed out, but they actually are pitting. So this is going to be interesting. I'm not sure if they're doing this on purpose to give themselves a lap extra, but it feels weird to go in later.
Yeah, Falkingham and Jesse Atchison, the 2 drivers in question.
Oh, they stayed out, sorry, yeah.
Further near in the field, and I guess they maybe have second-guessed their call. That could also happen sometimes. They think, hey, I want to stay out. It's like, I see the rest of the field come in. I'm a little bit scared. I'm gonna cover under myself. But then they end up coming down pit road as the last decision. Falkingham and Atchison going to do just that to be on the same par with everybody in the field. So Parker White, your race leader as of lap 75 with just under 100 laps left to go from Bristol. And we'll remind you that our coverage tonight on Podium Esports is brought to you by Boosted.biz. Boosted builds a custom platform for your brand to sell your products. They take care of everything. You can pay nothing and let them handle the rest. To get started with your online store, you can visit boosted.biz today. I made too many Boosted references on the track, so I'm not going to try and make a pun right after that read, but I mean, if you want to, you could say that Parker White's had to boost in that last run because he was very quick and getting over Michael Cozy Jr. I think just a beautiful pass. And as we get the lights out on the iRacing official pace car, it's going to be, I think, a big test here, Rachel, to see what Parker White can do under this pressure, double file.
Well, he's definitely going to hope he has that boost off the line here for this launch. I can't believe I'm joining in with this, but no. Yeah, Parker White's going to want to go for this thing. He's going to want to put that hammer down hard, but you've got to be careful not to spin it sideways in these trucks. Even on fresh tyres, it can still happen on a restart with a warmer track, and this track is pretty hot after a long run.
And if there's one thing about these trucks and one thing about the NASCAR tires, when they're cold, they are not compliant. Green flag back in the air, no troubles though for the main leaders. Parker White immediately takes the field off guard. Michael Cozy Jr. though will still hold clear for second. We have our first side-by-side battle. Boyd Hogan, Jonathan Delaney, but a caution comes out. It's a big crash on the straightaway. One truck up and sideways. Daniel Budofoco is in it. Looks like a couple of more got tagged, and it is just a big stack up. A bunch of trucks get involved. Now we are under caution yet again. Christopher Pfeffer looks to be one of the biggest victims here.
Welcome to Bristol, baby. This is exactly what happens here, unfortunately. It's the restart wreck. It's almost like clockwork. You can just set your watch by it. As, yeah, this one was a bit of a kerfuffle. And as you mentioned, it was kind of starting up with the 32 and the 15. So Santiago Tires is up there. He gets himself into the... Oh, no. No, either netcode? I think it could be netcode, or the 32 just lost it. But the 32 ends up going sideways is what caused this. Justin Knobloch, he had full wheel lock up there trying to hold that thing straight, but he got sideways in a hurry, back into the wall. 15 goes backwards into the wall, collects another truck, and the dominoes begin. It just became pinball.
And the voice chat immediately lit up after that crash. It was Justin Knobloch that got tagged by Santiago Tires. That's what brings us to the first sign of trouble, and then everybody piles in. Tires gets another hit. Drew Ferrinage slightly gets by, but then as he goes spinning, the 15 of Tires catches the 18 of Pfeffer and turns the 33. Devin Curl was a lap truck by the time he was coming back to this incident, and it is just a huge mess. Matt Danson gets involved. Here's a look from Seth the Merchant. Nowhere he could go, just slams into the rear end of the fellow truck in front, and it is the big one here at Bristol. We would usually covet that term for Talladega, but we've got to use it this time around. And Rachel, I mentioned a lack of space on the short tracks leads to this. Somebody gets in trouble, somebody makes a bad reaction, somebody swerves somewhere, and then you've got pretty much half of the field collected.
Welcome to Bristol is all I've got to say to that. Is this ain't nothing we haven't seen before. This is very much a Bristol move, and it happened, and you just got to expect it. This is the kind of thing you have to be prepared for here. Restart wrecks are gonna happen. A couple of guys coming down pit road probably fix some more damage on those trucks, but wanting to try and stay on the lead lap there. But this will happen. This is Bristol. You got to almost have a sixth sense to avoid the damage in these situations, because it will come for you, and you have to be so careful.
And what makes things worse in this case is that many of the drivers near the rear of the field, they had problems to start this race, whether you look at guys like a Tyler Gary, a Daniel Budafoco, well, not really Budafoco, but Tyler Gary. You think of Brad Davies, who started in the rear. You think of guys like Devin Curl, who had been a lap down or more, Justin Knobloch, who had tried to move himself to the front, and just some guys who had had trouble since the drop of the green are just trying to spend the rest of this race picking things up, trying to get back on track and at least muster some points for the end of this thing going into Dover in 2 weeks. And then you see a big crash happen in front, and there's not really much space you can occupy to get clear of the mess, and most of the drivers end up getting into it, and that will lose them more points, and it's just an extra shunt to what's already been a tough night from the world's fastest half mile.
This is sometimes where the old 2-foot shuffle comes in, the old 2-foot magic hack. Just whoa that thing up and hold on. Hope you can get something done, because driving through it at Bristol just doesn't work. Just stop that truck as fast as you can. Just throw the anchors out and get out of the way, because everything's going to go everywhere. They're going up, they're going down, they're going left, right, upside, downside, into the crowd, into the infield. Just stop. Just hope to high heck anybody behind you sees you and does the same. Green flag.
Tough instance for many drivers overall, but we're back under green. Parker White underway and clear the rest of the field. Hopefully we can stay clean for this route on the opening lap on this restart. Looks like Boyd Hogan has already made the shuffle to the outside. He's going to clear the 27-year pole sitter tonight, Jonathan Delaney. Delaney, though, going to hold tight down low as Michael Cozy Jr. is just trying everything he can to get back to the rear bumper, but it's a 3-horse fight for P3.
Here it is, here getting himself going again now, and the trucks are bouncing off each other towards the back again. Guys, this is time to relax, chill out. We've just had 2 back-to-back. You don't want to be more of them, because you're all going to get sick of it, and all of you want to go home at some point. Out front, it's White still, Cozy Jr., Hogan in third. Question is, in this race, are we seeing Hulk Hogan, or are we seeing Hollywood Hulk Hogan?
I'm not sure. It's looking like Hulk Hogan right now. Boyd Hogan has been rather strong here on this run, but Tucker Minter is now going to look to the outside. He's going to try to use the progressive banking to his advantage. Again, Tucker Minter, previous winner, looking to defend on the short tracks. He was able to overcome the rest of the field at Richmond a couple of weeks back. And if we get 2 in a row, that'll be the first time we see a repeat winner here in this eNASCAR Rotopo qualifying iRacing Series season in the top split. Minter already just turning on the switch, and it looked like we hadn't seen it all evening long. Now is the place we get to see him really shuffle through as you watch Kenny Brady, also one of the biggest movers here tonight. He started 22nd, and now he's moved up to 8th.
Yeah, keeping that truck moving here. A lot of guys catching some wall, actually, from what I'm seeing. And they've got to be really careful about that, because that could really cause your truck some serious aero trouble. And you wouldn't think it, but aero is huge at Bristol. You've got to keep that thing nice and clean, so you have the best chance to keep that power through the corners. And it's all about that corner speed here.
Well, we can Trek the Tundra. You'll look back to P10, where 2 Toyota Tundras are battling side by side amongst the same team. That's Seth the Merchant, who's picked up a couple hits so far this evening. A bit of damage there on his truck, but he's still trucking on. And Jordy Lopez Jr. to his outside. These guys have been battling from what it looks to be all evening long. They have not gotten the best of each other. That's a big wiggle out of Seth the Merchant. What a save by the 5 truck. Got out of harm's way, did not get anyone into the incident. Drew Fernarge is going to get the positive out of this. He'll get by for P11, but the Merchant lit up the rear tires and could not find a way to get back straight in enough time to hold momentum as he loses that spot, and he'll still keep himself in P12, fending off everybody 13th on back.
Yeah, definitely going for this thing here as they move through, and Minter has got some good air actually looking forwards. That truck is in a really strong position ahead of Hogan and Delaney and Tucker. Blewett just behind them. Brady is still working his way forwards. He's right up here behind that number 2 truck here of Blewett, so we'll keep an eye on that one for now.
There's a look on board with Kenny Brady in the Ford truck riding in P8. This is just behind Joel Blewett, who started up in P2 for this race. It's P22 on the starting grid for Kenny Brady, and it's been a gorgeous race for him so far under the sun here from Bristol, Tennessee. He's been very, very quick, and he has not let up. That setup seems to be dialed in for the Ford truck tonight, as he'll try and pack in on the trucks just in front of him. And one thing to look, if you looked up at the front of the field, you don't see trucks packed in any longer. It was pretty much nose to tail between Parker White and Michael Cozy Jr. at one point in the last green flag run. But ever since we got this restart, White has been on fire and has been setting blazing lap times. He's been quicker than a majority of the rest of the field, and White already up to a 0.7 of a second difference on Cozy.
Yeah, really going for this thing. That gap is really big for Bristol. He's definitely got some room here. And we saw a really long run last time by. I don't know if he will this time. Fingers crossed, but they're about a corner apart from each other in terms of field right now, just over that distance. So the field is catching its tail pretty quickly, and it will do that at Bristol, but that's when things are going to get tricky. That's when we're going to see people start to move up and panic. We've got a bit of congestion around our mid-pack. I think that's around the truck of just behind there. I think it's towards Falkingham. It is, yeah, Falkingham in that field there. He's right behind the 25 and the 5. Davies and DeMerchant, those guys have been duking it out.
Indeed, right here. Davies in that fight. DeMerchant has been falling. It looks like the rear tire is not happy, and Davies now going to poke his nose in on the outside, just in that space between the truck of DeMerchant and the outside safer barrier. Brad Davies, a former eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series competitor for Junior Motorsports, now on his way back to square one and trying to get back to the top level of sim racing as he battles with Daytona winner DeMerchant on the inside, who's just trying to hold out hope. So as Parker White continues to lead, we are 103 laps down for the Bristol Motor Speedway, and as we've already crossed the halfway point of tonight's race, it's time, why not, to bring you the iRacing Midway Race Break, which is of course brought to you by iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport with virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in Australian supercars, IndyCar, IMSA, NASCAR, the World of Outlaws, and much, much more. Ever since the last restart under our most recent yellow flag, it's been all Parker White, the one truck at the front of the field. By now, a total of 1.3 seconds over the driver behind him, Michael Cozy Jr., who's looking to step himself and stamp himself as a true contender for the Contender Series later on in 2022. Richmond winner Tucker Minter is trying to go 2 in a row here in this round 1 schedule. He currently racks up the top 3. Boyd Hogan in the 11 is in P4. Jonathan Delaney, who started this race from pole, is one of the Junior Motorsports workers in the Coke Series. He is currently racking up your top 5. Casey Tucker in the 23 has had a solid race after starting 3rd. He's currently settled in P6 with Joel Blewett behind him in P7 by not a large distance. Kenny Brady has moved himself from 22nd to P8, arguably the largest mover all race long. Jake Nichols is in the P9 spot in the number 20 truck, and Jordi Lopez Jr. racks up the top 10. Rachel?
Does indeed. Then we've got Drew Ferentz with Anthony Burrows in 12th, Larry Pace in 13th, Will Cooley 14th, Daniel Budafaco in the 15th spot, Brad Davies 16th, Daniel Falkingham 17th with Tyler Severa in 18th, Blaze Crawford in the 19th spot, and Seth DeMerchant in 20th.
It has been a very chaotic race for Tyler Gary, not uneventful whatsoever. He currently is in P21. Trevor Edwards is behind him in P22. Daniel Roper, who went for a spin earlier tonight, he is 23rd with Jesse Atchison and Will Klein ending up in your top 25. Santiago Tires had a very good start to this race, but he has not picked it up since that huge crash on one of the straightaways. He is P26 as of the moment. Kyle Myers is 27th. Myers is the last truck on the lead lap, and the first truck 1 lap down or more is 2 laps down. It is the 21 of Matt Danson, who was also involved in that big one that we saw around the halfway mark. Devin Currow is in 29th, 11 laps down. Christopher Pfeffer is now pitting 30 laps down in P30. And then it's Andrew Navarro 31st, Justin Knobloch 32nd, Justin Norwood, and Eugene Mazdanov racking up the 34 trucks that have started this race and currently still run for the most part here tonight at the Bristol Motor Speedway. So this concludes tonight's iRacing Midway race break with over 170,000 drivers on the service and over 90 laser scan tracks and cars to choose from. iRacing is your portal to the racing world. Get on track today and start your sim racing career at iRacing.com. So guess what, Rachel? We talked about the big lead that Parker White had over second place Michael Cozy Jr. It's starting to fall off. It's now 0.8 of a second between Cozy and White, so it looked like White could have settled himself into a comfortable rhythm, but Cozy is not letting the gap get the best of him. He is now starting to reel him in, putting in lap times that are either comparable to White or just a little bit faster, and Cozy relentless here as we close in on 60 laps to go.
Yeah, really pushing things so hard, and we are coming down towards the end here. This is when things are going to get really spicy. If we get some stuff here, some cautions, this is when we'll see people make pit stop strategy calls, and it'll get real interesting real fast.
That's a big word. That's a big word, Rachel. Caution. I don't want to be the commentator's jinx here. I hope you don't either. I don't think any of us really want to be there. Throwing out the word caution in the final section of this race could be very dangerous. We could see anything happen. And of course, lap traffic is on the way as well. So keep your eyes peeled. This is far from over as we close in on 57 laps to go. Here's a nice cluster of trucks around the latter half of the top 10. You look at the matte black truck of Jake Nichols in the 20. He's charging in on Kenny Brady. And then behind them, you've got Jordy Lopez Jr. in a slight fight with Walter Mann, Anthony Burrows in the Allegiant Ford F-150, one of the only Ford F-150s in this entire field. It's a really good charge up here. A lot of these guys settled good in the point standings for the top 70. These points races, at least for tonight at Bristol, could mean a lot for them moving forward.
Yeah, it could mean a huge amount, and getting a good result here is really going to be important because it can be such a dice roll to really get a good finish at this track. So if you can keep yourself at the front and keep clean, you are in a strong position here to really help this season.
So Burrows will go to the inside of Jordy Lopez, but to no avail. He'll tuck in behind and he'll remain in his position. We almost have a slight fight for third. Two of the swordsmen here, Boyd Hogan and Tucker Minter, doing battle. It's a beautiful exit out of turn 4 for Hogan, and Hogan has certainly picked up the pace and got the setup completely dialed in the right place, right time at this point in the race. And lap 123, he's got P3. He's taking it away from Logitech G Altis truck, who is now just behind. He's got Cozy and Parker White to overcome. There's still a substantial gap between himself and Parker White, but more manageable, about half a second between himself and the 17. So we'll keep an eye on that. And obviously White, as he progresses through what could be the final batch of lap traffic to close off this section of the race. And this Hornet's Nest is only adding more bees to the flock, because here comes Drew Ferienarch to make it now 5 trucks battling for what is chasing P8.
Yeah, really are going for this thing down in P8, and that's going to be a really tricky spot for these guys because we've got trucks stuck down below. We don't really want to be down there, and that would be, I think, Tucker involved in that group possibly, or could that be Nichols? It's one of the 20s. It's hard to tell from the angle, but really getting tight here. 6th truck right down there. Jordy Lopez Jr., he's on the bottom side. He's going to be a really fiery one. He's going to want to find a spot, or he could get a little bit prickly when it comes to finding a place in line.
And if there's one thing about this Bristol Motor Speedway, especially on iRacing, you can make viable lanes on both the bottom and the very top. But the top just gets a huge run off the progressive banking on either the front straightaway or the back straightaway. So this is just a big test of either patience and skill for the drivers here, especially in top split. Because if you look at this fight right now, Jake Nichols is going to join Jordy Lopez on the bottom. But for the most part, around this run, it's been all that 6 truck just manning near the apron and just trying to keep in that inside lane for as long as possible. But it's hard to clear because everybody on the top is just getting huge ones on the exit, and it can really test you in saying, hey, how long are you willing to hold out the bottom? How loyal are you to stay down there to gain those spots? And it looked like it has rewarded Jordy Lopez for staying down there as they're 3 wide for position. That's 9th.
Yeah, I think it's getting spicy around 9th place, but oh, I thought I heard the iRacing flag guy chirp up there for the comment, but no, we didn't get that. In fact, around Nichols and Brady, really getting tense up there. This could be our trouble zone.
Brady has looked to fall off right now on this longer run. It looks like the pace is just not really there anymore. He's held tight some good defense and held up the barrier, but A lot of it's being knocked down, and the cracks are starting to show here in Brady's defense, as now Drew Farinarge will look to the bottom and try something on the inside. They brought in Larry Pace, they brought in Daniel Budofoco, they brought in Will Cooley. We haven't talked about Will Cooley all too much tonight. The 34 truck started 19th. He's maintained relatively well in this midfield, but this is, again, Rachel, just good opportunity for points. Again, we're looking at a short track where chaos can really take a lot of good drivers out of really good point stays. And Cooley, one of those guys that could take this opportunity as an advantage and be able to overcome these guys who are almost about 3 wide and get some more points to his tally to chase for the top 7.
Really are going for it right now. It looks right up there, 2 on the high side. That's blew it. He really was off the line a little bit there. He lost 2 spots from that move.
It has been intense right now as Anthony Burrows and Jordi Lopez have turned on the afterburners. They are really starting to punch their way into the top 10. And Burrows, it looks like him and Lopez were waiting for this moment, a long green flag run, so they can strut their stuff. That's exactly what they're doing as of the moment. Things, though, are still backing up around the top 15 as Brady almost lost the rear end of his Toyota Tundra TRD Pro. That could have been a big mess in either one of the corners here at Bristol, but he kept it straight, and that's a big brown pants moment for everybody else, but we're going to stay green.
Yeah, really going for this thing at the moment as they try and find their way through. Staying green is exactly what these guys want to see happen, and only 37 to go. We are down to the wire here.
Things are indeed closing down. Joel Blewett just struck the outside wall. Will hand over P9 to Jake Nichols. There's Seth the Merchant, who is still trying to keep his case known against the 16 of Larry Pace, who started all the way back in P27 and is now plus 15th since the drop of the green. So he is now made a really solid charge in pace and did not have the greatest outing at Richmond just 2 weeks ago. Pace certainly redeeming himself on the second of 3 short track races we visit in this round 1 schedule. Gap has closed. It's now under half a second for the race lead. We've taken a lot of time to focus on the midfield, but you do not forget, or at least you can't forget, this run for P1. Parker White has got through some lap traffic trucks, and he's been relatively okay, but it's been at the expense of the hefty lead he had to start on that run. Cozy Jr. now within 0.3 of a second. How much time does Cozy have left to make a move?
Still some time, but not much. It is running down now. Oh, and here comes the real twist.
It is Kenny Brady. The Ford truck started 22nd and is involved in our most recent caution that'll bring the field back together in the final 32 laps of this race. Take a look at how it all started, and he was side by side. Remember, he had struggled with a very loose condition on his Toyota Tundra, but it wasn't the loose condition that got him. It was indeed contact between Brad Davies and Daniel Roper. Roper getting in Davies at the exit of the 30 degrees of banking all the way at the top of the racetrack, and Brady was just an innocent bystander there, Rachel. Absolutely nothing you could do if you're that Ford truck. You see them go sideways, and all you have to do is just brace for impact.
Yeah, I really do, and unfortunately that's going to put us in a really tricky situation here, because 31 to go. This could be a time to take tires and blast this for the end, but we'll have some people not taking it, and it'll get real messy.
You know, I knew it was a problem when you brought up the word caution in the middle of that run. I was scared.
Yep.
And I'm officially shaking in my boots. Field is now on pit road. Parker White will knock over the yellow cone. RIP 2022 to him. He'll lay over on one of the empty pit stalls here at Bristol, but this is arguably, Rachel, the most pivotal pit stop of this entire race tonight from Bristol. If White can manage this without any issues, without any oversliding, without any problems, he should be clear for the lead. But remember, this is the very opportunistic window where drivers can take 2 tires, drivers can take only fuel, drivers can do whatever they can to set their truck up right for a final 30-lap dash.
Yeah, they do, and this is going to be monumental with everyone getting fresh tires here. This could be a humongous end to this race.
So here they come. Parker White out of pit road. He's going to have no challenge, but it's going to be Tucker Minter almost edged out for second. I was just about to say Minter with a very quick stop to put him behind your race leader, but Cozy edges out barely over his Logitech G Altus Esports teammate, and Tucker Minter will remain in third, although Minter is back in the game as the top two really gapped him in that last run, at least in the last laps before that caution. And so Minter could be back in it. Boyd Hogan has kept himself in fourth. Casey Tucker, I think, gained on that pit stop. He's now up to P5. As Jonathan Delaney is back at P6. And it's Burrows, Jordy Lopez, Jake Nichols, and Joel Blewett to your top 10. So surprisingly enough, Rachel, not many calls drastically different from the majority of the leaders. So I think we are dodging a lot of the curveballs that we could have been dealt here in the final 29 laps. But now it's just a straight up duel. Now between Parker White, Cozy, maybe anybody else could end up in this run. So if you're Cozy, if you're Minter, if you're any of the guys behind White who has dominated the last half of this race, what do you do differently to get yourself a shot at the lead and make a pass?
You have to push, and push some more, because this is when it comes down to just pure race speed. This is when they're going to have to give it everything, but you're going to have to keep yourself very clean. The guys in the top 5, I think, are probably going to be the ones feeling safe. Everybody else is like, oh god, a caution with 30 to go. We who are about to die salute you.
And I can imagine Parker White was not happy with that caution. Of course, he still had a close lead. It was only 0.4 of a second, but it is more than basically zero, which is what this lead is right now. Maybe a couple of feet, maybe a couple of inches. When we come back to the green flag, we are ready to have Barney the Flagman display what could be our final green flag effort here tonight from Bristol. Pace car is down. It's an early jump from the one truck of Parker White. He doesn't want to waste any time. We're back racing from Bristol with 27 laps to go.
Yeah, here we go. This is when it's going to get real hefty, and oh boy, it's going to be a lot of work at this point, but they're going to keep themselves going here, try and keep this thing clean as we can. If we can go green to the end, it'll be monstrous, but I don't know if that's capable of happening here. Will we see a green-white checker ending to this monster story? It's going to be tough to see.
And look at Michael Cozy Jr. riding on board with the rear end of Parker White. He is trying different lanes. He ran the middle last time. He ran the top in one of the sections of the track. Now running the direct middle again. Just an effort to get himself into clean air, to give himself a shot. This could be it. Off the exit of the corner, he's got to run, and he's going to poke his nose. Not yet. He'll stay behind the Toyota Tundra. White will maintain up top an adjustment, and they are reeling in Tucker Minter in P3.
Really going for this. Tucker in a fantastic spot for this, but the lead is so contested right now. Cozy and White are all over each other. This could be huge. And there we go.
Caution flag out again. Daniel Roper goes straight over the radio, and it's a huge crash in the 26 to 30 degrees of banking, as it looked like Roper may have been one of the
25.
first trucks involved.
Davis.
So it looks
It's
like
Davies
Davies,
and 9.
it was Davies and Roper. So again, they made contact. You remember one of the last yellows with Kenny Brady, they got collected together off the exit of the corner. It's the same story this time around, just with bigger consequences and bigger hits overall. Tyler Gary in it, the 31 truck, the 12, Falkingham. And it's our second big stack up here at Bristol. The lack of space and trucks going around ends in a junkyard.
Man, I feel so sorry for the 7. Oh, Tyler Silvera. He was in such a safe spot. I feel terrible for him because he was in the middle of that. He got a little bit of a bump for the 19. He puts on the brakes. He dives down. He dodges people, gets a little bit of a lick, and then the 31 just goes doing, pit maneuver, and round he goes. That sucks.
And talk about the tempers that we mentioned at the top of the show. They are certainly present here at Bristol. There's a look from Falkingham, and unfortunately, the 12 truck couldn't really do anything. And when they stack up like that, again, just no space that you can occupy to get clear of it all and escape without any sort of damage. And it just becomes tough for all the guys in the rear of the field. And here's the look from Brady, who had a very good race, especially in the midway section, had fallen off, was involved in that caution, ended up near the rear. And that is not a beautiful sight, just seeing all the smoke come out of nowhere, trying to find out where you can go to get out of it. And for the 4 of Brady, it looks like there may just be engine damage, his truck billowing smoke at the back end, as he's currently 16.
think they're going to try and drag this one out as long as it can go. Yep. We're going to be down to, what, 100 and... Oh, no, 25 laps to go. Or just under 20, actually. We're at 20 to go here. So, yeah, this is go home or go hard time. And I'm very much afraid they're going to choose go hard.
They didn't come here to play. They came here to work. And right now, the work is going to show here in the final laps here from Bristol in the final 20 laps of this race. It's going to be a lot of fun, especially there with Cozy getting very close to Parker White. He's got an opportunity to do it once again. So we talked about it at the top of the show, our sponsor for tonight's broadcast here on Podium Esports, Elite Performance Industries, your home for iRacing setups, apparel, and driver development. Contact the EPI social media pages to get in touch and learn from guys like eNASCAR, Coca-Cola iRacing Series champion Michael Conti. For more information, visit ElitePerformanceIndustries.com. EPI, your home for all things iRacing. EPI, a very big proponent in this 2022 Road to Pro qualifying iRacing Series campaign. They've sponsored a lot of drivers. They've helped a lot of drivers and sim racing hopefuls to get into the top ladder, of course. They're all chasing the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, and actually just wrapped up a Bristol race earlier this week, although it wasn't on the asphalt. It was on the dirt, so obviously a very different race overall. A lot of tempers there, a lot of big moments. Nick Andre was able to get to victory lane there. And we'll see who can get to victory lane here. It's a duel between the 1 and the 17. It's been like that for a while now. We could see a third-party spoiler. Don't forget Boyd Hogan. Don't forget Tucker Minter. Don't forget Jordi Lopez. Don't forget many others who could put themselves in this race at a moment's notice. Green flag back in the air, and look at the jump from Minter. He's looking to the inside for second as White runs away.
Oh, he's going for this thing, trying to get his nose up there. To get involved here as he goes up too high. Through comes the 17 and Cozy Jr. to the low side. Getting real congested here at the front. And they push. Now this is it. This can be over in minutes if they stay green with this thing. And right now it's 17 and the 3 right on top of each other.
And that was big there for the 3 of Tucker Minter. Peeked into the official abyss of marbles all the way at the top of this progressive banking. But luckily enough, he clears for second. There's a battle. Jonathan Delaney getting overcome by the top side. That's Seth the Merchant. That's Jordi Lopez Jr. But a caution will come out. It's Will Cooley in the 34.
Yep. Thought that would happen again. Yeah, unfortunate for Will Cooley. That is going to be a tough one for him, but truck looks not insanely damaged, so he might be okay. But this is going to pack things up even harder. We're going to see at least another caution before this thing's out. I really believe we're on 14 to go. We're going to burn up a couple of laps here. We'll see 1 inside 10 to go.
So there's a couple of angles there of Will Cooley's half spin that sends us under yellow. So remarkably for him, no significant damage, doesn't hit any of the walls. And when you spin off the corner here at Bristol, it can be very hard to avoid those walls just because, again, you have a lack of space. So a solid job there by Cooley to lock up the brakes, make sure he doesn't get into anything. He's going to be able to continue, although those tires might be significantly shot, and they may not have any good life left in them for this last run, which will span, I believe, around 11 to 10 laps to go is when we are expecting the green flag to display once again. And there is a reason why I said at the beginning of the show before we started and got the green flag to begin that last season, last year, it was round 2, Parker Retzlaff in control. We had a green-white checkered. I believe it was the first of many that they could have done in that race, but it was still under the final 2 laps, so they had to decide the winner. And it looks like with the trends we're seeing with these frequent yellows, Rachel, it looks like those green-white checkers are imminent. I think these guys got to start preparing, even though we're still double-digit laps away from it.
Of course you got to prepare. You always got to prepare for the green-white checker at Bristol. His elbow's out and it is head down. You got to push here. You got to just put it out of your mind and go for this thing, because there is no one going to help you.
So we're going to wait for confirmation on the iRacing official pace card to get its lights out, and it will not be Michael Cozy Jr. on the outside of row 1. It will be his teammate Tucker Minter, who has found a way, has found a will. I've said it backwards, but Minter has ended up in the right place in the last stint of this race, and he can get 2 in a row if he is able to nose ahead of this one who has looked rather unbeatable for a while here at Bristol. We started this race with Jonathan Delaney in the 27. It looked like he was going to be the ultimate favorite to hold on to the lead, then lost it to Michael Cozy Jr., and then things traded places. Parker White ended up there. It was outside of moves, inside of moves, methodical lap after lap passes, and now we've got a Toyota Tundra TRD Pro at the helm of the field, willing to take it all away, and that will be, by the way, Rachel, his first Road to Pro qualifying iRacing Series win. He started his campaign to the Coke Series last year, but only ran part-time, ran a couple of races, including, I believe, a Dover short track race. But this is his first full-time effort in 2022, so to get a win here in round 5 would mean big-time things for him.
Well, we're going to be going green inside of 10 to go here, so it could be this time by, and it could be this time. It might not be his first win. You're going to have to see what happens towards the end of this before that is decided, but we'll find out, I'm sure.
So top 10 will look like this. Parker White, your leader. Tucker Minter, second. Michael Cozy Jr., Boyd Hogan, third and fourth. And Jonathan Delaney, Jordy Lopez Jr., Joel Blewett, Seth the Merchant, Daniel Burafoco, and Drew Frenage in the top 10. Pace truck. Pace car will make its way to pit road. The truck's behind him, ready to launch off, and it's a quick start for Parker White. He clears the field by a couple of car lengths. They're door-to-door for second, and we're back under green with less than 10 laps to go. And a big crash, 27 of Jonathan Delaney around, gets Burafoco in it as well. Well, that didn't last long. Took us 2 corners, and your pole sitter has a junked race truck on the back straightaway.
Yeah, that was going to happen, unfortunately, as Delaney gets punted from behind by the 2 truck of Blewett, and, well, he blew that corner. Just turned the 27 around, which tipped him into the outside wall. He bounces down, catches 22, and skittles happen. And there's nothing clean about Bristol. This is, yeah, that is how it happens, unfortunately, and his motor's down, but he's staying up on the field here. I wonder if he's going back to try and find somebody. That would be fun.
There was another look at it. Started with the 2. Blewett just making bare contact with the 27, and as Delaney went for a drift, he was trying to save it. But of course, momentum too much for Blewett not to get into him a second time, trying to clear out of it, and then the 27 just ricochets off of the safety barrier, tags in the 22. I think Burrows might have picked up some damage. It looks like Larry Pace might have also picked up some crinkles here and there. And it isn't as big as what we've seen prior tonight. I think we've seen bigger cautions, no doubt about it. But that is a rather big crash involving a very good driver tonight, Jonathan Delaney. I mentioned earlier in the broadcast that he is a spotter for Junior Motorsports in the Coke Series season, making his start tonight at Bristol. And unfortunately, things have not gone well for him to get back to the lead in one case. But now it's just all about trying to put this race together to even finish the thing.
Yeah, it really is, and he's going to have to do exactly that, but I'm sure he'll have the opportunity to if we come down to this thing, but his laps are ticking on down. We are in some seriously tricky territory.
I think it looks like familiar territory here at Bristol, Tennessee, as we will double them up once again. Still a couple laps away from the green flag, and we'll have another restart here with Parker White at the captain chair of the field, and Tucker Minter looking to steal it off. But what I've noticed here, Rachel, is that Parker White has not given up on these restarts. And usually when you get yellow after yellow after yellow, it could get into the mind of somebody behind the wheel, and it could help them falter a little bit. It could play into the factor that maybe they don't get the best job, maybe they overthink things a little bit, and they just allow the guy in second on the outside to hold themselves strong up top and be able to put that pressure on coming out of turn 2. But it looks like White has not faltered just yet. He has not ended up in a situation where he's been compromised against Tucker Minter or Michael Cozy. It looks like every time we get the green flag, he's up and away first, and he has no problems after that.
Yeah, he is, and we're going to hope he can do exactly that again. Being the leader is a huge advantage, especially as tires get older around Bristol. You have a huge advantage. If anything, second is the worst place. To know when to go and to have the grip up there, third place is really strong. So the 17 of Cozy Jr. is in a good spot, but with how many laps left to go, he might be in a really hard place to catch White.
All right, so we'll keep ourselves doubled. It looks like the lights are officially out on the iRacing official pace car, so we will go green next time. And I see some concerns over in the Twitch chat. Well, don't you worry. Bristol Dirt is on its way in September of 2022. We'll race there in round number 6 around number 2 when we deduct it down to the top 70 in the point standings, and we have our snake splits between split 1 and split 2. That's a far ways from now. We're still on the asphalt side of Bristol and still got to decide the top 70. Parker White in control of the field with under 10 laps to go. Now under 5 laps to go. 3 laps left from the Bristol Motor Speedway. It's once again another scintillating fire-off for the 1 truck, and the 3 and the 17 are almost side by side once again. Minter will clear for P2.
Behind them, the 5 and the 6 side by side here. The Merchant worked his way right up to the front here like we thought he would. He might clear the 6 this time by, but he's not going to get it done as just ahead of them. It's going to be the 17 charging after White here. Could he have time left? It's going to be really tight. He's on him.
We're coming to the white flag. Yeah, we're coming to the white flag here at Bristol Motor Speedway. You saw side-by-side action between DeMerchant and Jordy Lopez, but here's the focus. Minter found his nose down low, but could not get to the bumper enough. Final corners here at Bristol. It will not last. Parker White, win number 1 in the 2022 eNASCAR Roto-Pro Qualifying iRacing Series, comes at the Great Coliseum.
Ooh, what a finish. We brought this thing down to the wire here, and wow, they put on a great show.
White, his first win in the 1 truck is in victory lane as he'll burn it down and provide us our Martin Sports winning moment. Martin Sports strives to produce the best custom apparel for your needs, whether it's shirts for your office, jerseys for a local sports team, or specially designed apparel for your sim racing group. Martin Sports has you covered. They also offer gloves specifically crafted for sim racing that are lightweight, breathable, and complete with padded leather palms. Use code PODIUM today to receive 25% off any racing glove at martinsports906.com or visit their Facebook page at facebook.com/martinsports. Parker White is in victory lane. He holds the checkered flag for the first time in his Roto-Pro qualifying iRacing Series career. Daniel Budafoco to help with the celebrations. We'll be right back, but when we return on the other side, we'll have your full field results and much, much more on the post-race here tonight from the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway. You're watching Round 5 of the eNASCAR Roto-Pro qualifying iRacing Series live on Podium Esports. Welcome back to the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway and the start of our post-race coverage live on Podium Esports. Round 5 has concluded, and it's Parker White, the first to the checkered flag. It's the first time we see the 1 truck in victory lane this season is able to hold off a very good fight by Tucker Minter in the 3, who was trying to go for 2 wins in a row. Michael Cozy Jr. follows through in P3. What a great evening it's been for him. Started 4th and really didn't fall out of the top 5 all race long. Boyd Hogan, what a drive for him. We didn't talk about him too much in this event, but he lines up P4. Seth DeMerchant finds a way back to strike into P5 in the closing laps with his teammate Jordy Lopez Jr. behind him to follow in P6. Then you find P7, it'll be Joe Blewett in the number 2 truck, a very solid evening of racing for him. Drew Freenarge in the number 10, ends up P8 to finish. Blaze Crawford rounds out your top 9, and then Casey Tucker, Rachel Whiteford is the last one in your top 10.
Behind them is Pace in 11th there, as Larry Pace, of course, Jake Nichols in 12th, Anthony Burrows in the 13th spot, Santiago Gutierrez in the 14th with Will Cooley 15th, Trevor Edwards 16th, Brad Davis in 17th, 18th Kyle Mayers, Matt Danson in the 19th spot. Yes, I'm just mathing really bad today. And Daniel Forking in 20th.
Jonathan Delaney, after starting this race from the pole, had a very consistent run to the finish, but unfortunately got caught up in one of the last scuffles that we had, one of our last cautions. He ends up 3 laps down in 21st. Tyler Gary had a rough one from start to finish. He is 6 laps down at the end when the checkered flag flew. 22nd. Daniel Budofoco also got caught up in last lap messes. 23rd. He'll finish 6 laps down. Will Klein in the 31 ends up 11 laps down in 24th. Jesse Atchison, the final driver to lock in to the top 25. Tyler Severo is P26, 21 laps down, with Kenny Brady behind him in 27th. Daniel Roper in the 9 will end up in 28th, followed by Devin Curl, 62 laps down in 29th. And Christopher Pfeffer had a strong run in the mid portion of tonight's race, but ended up in crashes near the end. He ends up rounding out your top 30, followed by Andrew Navarro in 31st, Justin Knobloch in 32nd, Eugene Mozganoff in 33rd, and Justin Norwood 113 laps down in 34th place. So that's your whole field. We got to talk to the man who lines up P1 once the checkered flag flew, and it's Parker White with his first win of this 2022 season. Parker, bringing you in from Bristol Victory Lane. You get to hold the virtual sword here tonight under the sunlight, but what a run to the finish it was for you, and it looks like after you had taken the lead, you never let go. It looked like once you had the clean air, your truck was unbeatable. What went behind this mostly dominant run tonight from the last great Coliseum?
Yeah, I qualified pretty good in 10th, and I do being on the outside, I'd be at an advantage to just go on the top. So I just took that to my advantage, just went on the outside, just picked spots off every restart, and that played into my favor a ton. Eventually, I was able to get around Cozy for the lead, and then ever since then, I just drove away. I didn't manage the tires right, but I had a really good set. It didn't lose grip at all throughout the run. So just huge thanks to the guys back at NFR for all the hard work week in and week out. I'm just glad it finally paid off.
It was planted, it was controlled, and it never looked like it stepped out of your hands. This truck, unbelievable. But talk about the defense that you had to play. There were a lot of drivers behind you that were willing to take the lead off of you. Tucker Minter in the final laps, Michael Cozy Jr. for many of the laps tonight, and of course there were other drivers in the mix as well. What was it like to play that defense and try to hold on to your truck while all of them were just trying to pressure you into a mistake?
Yeah, it was very weird to say the least. Because I was basically the only one from my team up there. I had just had the Altus Powerhouse behind me, and I knew that they were going to be really fast, like they always are. So I just played it right on the restarts. So I got away. I knew I couldn't give them the top because they just blew right by me, but I just played it right. I knew that I have a ton of competition behind me, like I said. But just played it right. Just got to thank Presley Gilson for coaching me through this, telling me when to pit and when to not to pit. Just huge thanks to him. Yeah, just thanks to everyone at NFR. Just I can't believe this happened.
And it's your first full-time effort in this 2022 eNASCAR Roto Pro qualifying iRacing series. I know I didn't ask you it in the first question, but how does it feel? Does it feel great? Well, what are the emotions here after all of the hard work culminates into tonight's first win?
It feels extremely well because coming into this race, I was like, all right, Bristol is still my best track. I'll just try to finish the race. I expected to finish like mid pack in like 20th, but I guess we weren't going to know until the race because we didn't have C open to practice. But it just feels amazing just to hop in, not racing with anyone, or at least from any other teams, and just be able to come out and win like this feels really special.
Well, we've got a new winner in the eNASCAR Roto Pro qualifying iRacing series record books. Parker White, your first win. Unbelievable way to hold off everybody after having a very fast truck all night long. Of course, we wish you the best of luck for the rest of the season, and of course 2 weeks from tonight at the Dover Motor Speedway. But from tonight and on behalf of all of our team, want to give a big congratulations on your win tonight. Go enjoy it.
All right, thank you, Kenneth.
That's Parker White, who ends up winning tonight's race here for the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway. A masterclass job in the final laps for him to hold off charging cars, charging trucks behind him as well. One of them being the three of Tucker Minter, not able to get two in a row, but he's caught up trackside with our very own Rachel Whiteford.
He certainly has to do, thanks. Yeah, Tucker, 14th today till second. Bristol's one of those up and down tracks. It seemed more up than down for you.
Yeah, I mean it was really a great drive. I felt like I was super happy. Just everything kind of was falling my way for a while there, short run with restarting on the top or being able to clear up top, and I was able to just get track position at the right time and not really burn my tires up, and I got a lot of track position there.
That seemed really helpful for you. And just how was it trying to catch up to Parker? He seemed to just have a set that just was so good in the short, but you caught up in the long.
Yeah, I definitely felt like, I mean, I think we were probably pretty even. I think Parker ended up with some damage from a lap car that was probably hurting him a little bit. I just really, the last long run there, I really melted my right front tire trying to hustle like a couple spots short run where I feel like if I had saved for the first 10 or so laps, I would have been able to run down Parker and maybe get by Cozy a little bit easier. And then I would have, been able to, I guess, contend for the lead rather than struggling, going back and forth with Boyd there.
Yeah, it certainly seemed that way. But look, going into Dover, of course, next. Is this a track that's going to be better for you, you think?
Yeah, I mean, Dover's one of my favorite tracks. Last year, I got second to Donnie, and I feel like with the momentum that we have going, I know a lot of the Altus guys they really struggled last year, so they're really out to mark Dover on the calendar and have a good race here. So I think it'll be good.
Awesome. Who makes it happen for you guys?
Yeah, I mean the Logitech G Altus team, everybody works so hard. James really loves Bristol. He put a ton of work in this week. Merch worked, pretty hard on the Q set, and that was a benefit to us. I feel like if I hadn't messed up my lap, it would have been an easier race, and I could have started up front. But these guys, make it really easy to go and run well, and it's a great community. Like I've been feeling pretty homesick today. I'm ready to go home tomorrow for the Easter weekend, but stuck around for Road to Pro, and obviously I'm glad I did. It was a good run.
Well, awesome. Thanks for joining us. Tucker Minter coming home in second place tonight.
Yep, thanks guys.
So Tucker Minter capitalizes on the short track stint, and in his second short track race, he ends up in P2. We'll have a chance also to talk to the last driver in the podium. It's Michael Cozy Jr. in the 17. And Michael, I think this race truly proved how good you are at these short tracks, and you led a good amount of it. You had the pace, you had the strength. Walk us through what it was like behind the wheel to race here at Bristol.
It was a lot of fun. To be honest with you, I stink at Bristol, man. I don't know how the hell I mean, I qualified good, and that was something I've been working on lately. So that was great. And really, all it really comes down to, it's so hard to pass around here, man. So qualifying good is the name of the game, really. And I was so happy I did that. And then I just, one restart, I was up there and on top, and I knew that thing was digging up there. And I got to third, and I just kept that bad boy rolling. I was setting sail. That thing was so good. Just props to everybody at Altus, man. We were rolling long run. It came down to one silly mistake. I let Parker around the right rear, and I let him have it. I was like, if he wants to go up, burn his tires, whatever. That was it was so huge, keeping the tires on it, and that was something I was practicing a lot, but just never really got that opportunity back. A couple of times I was close, especially on that long run we had, and then the cautions there ended it. But man, it was a lot of fun. Like I said, I suck at Bristol, so this is awesome. Shout out to the boys, man. They really helped me out a lot this week and put in a lot of great work, and just very proud, man.
And from a first glance, there was an obvious statement that this truck very good on the long runs. And I can recall that one green flag stint where you lost the gap to Parker White by just over a second, but then you started to slowly reel him back in, and that truck came to you very, very quickly. And it also was very quick at Richmond just 2 weeks ago. So what is it about these short track setups and you with these short tracks that's really surging you ahead and giving you these great results, obviously with your strength behind the wheel to couple?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just I've always had a knack for the short tracks. Richmond, Martinsville. I'm so sad that they took Martinsville off the schedule, man. I really wanted to win that bad boy. I thought I had a chance to win it last year. I qualified pole the year before that in one of my first ever road to pro races. Like I said though, Bristol. I don't know what the hell. I sent it off in the corner. I had been for years. I'd never really figured out how to really drive this place all too good, and it was really last night. The last 2 nights, really, we did a lot of long runs, and I really benefited off that practice. So I just, I can't thank my teammates, especially for sticking around. We did runs for 2-3 hours the other night, and I was trying to figure it out so bad because those guys. I got such good teammates, man. Those guys are so fast, and just trying to pick up and apply it as well. It's been tough, but man, I'm really proud of what we did this week.
So you came into tonight 48th in the Road to Pro qualifying iRacing Series standings. Of course, well clear of the top 70. And now you're starting to rack up these great finishes. Final 3 races upcoming: Dover, Kansas, Charlotte. What's the mindset going into those 3?
To not throw it all away, because those sounds like all bad tracks for me. But I'll do my best to learn them. And like I said, Bristol's a bad track. So, if I could do it at Bristol, I could do it those other 3. But yeah, like I said, just not throw it all away. I think I could do that.
There's a lot of good optimism, no doubt, of course, coming out of the last great Coliseum. Michael, of course, want to thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us here in the broadcast booth. And on behalf of our team, I want to give you a big congratulations on this P3. Wishing you the best of luck in the final 3 races of this Road to Pro Round 1 schedule.
Thank you very much, guys.
It's Mike Okozie Jr., who gets P3 at the end of tonight's 175-lapper from the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway. And now it's our time, Rachel, to get our final thoughts in after what was a very crazy one. I think, for the most part, our thoughts before this race are lined up with our thoughts after this race. But one thing is for certain to stand out amongst it all: Parker White, his very first Road to Pro qualifying iRacing Series win. Despite the charges, despite the pressure, he kept it in, and he's a winner.
It's got to be a huge confidence boost to him, and hopefully something we'll see him take advantage of going forward. So time will tell how this will play out.
So Parker White gets W number 1, and we head off to the 3rd of our 3 consecutive short track races to close off this short track stint here in the Round 1 Road to Pro qualifying iRacing Series schedule. We had some swords, we had some duels here tonight from Bristol, but in 2 weeks' time, we get to face the big shadow that'll come out of a large Miles the Monster, who will top over everyone and bring us our next round on April 28th. We'll have all the coverage right here, same time, same place, on the main Podium Esports Twitch channel at 9 p.m. Eastern. So for everybody that makes this all happen, for Gary, Sexton, and John Theodore over at Podium Esports, for our producer this evening, Ryan Bauer, for our camera builder, Dougie Beard, our man, Nicholas Weatherby, covering our social media tonight, and for my colleague in the booth, Rachel Whiteford, my name is Kenneth Bueno. Saying so long and good night from the last great Coliseum. We get to Dover Motor Speedway in 2 weeks' time to close off April.